Hello again, hope you internet strangers had a good week. I like film, I like games, and I do other stuff too. Here's the newest entries to my media diet diary. For this week's film, I just wanted to talk a little about Iron Lung. The consensus for Iron Lung as a film has been pretty clear. This is not the greatest film, but definitely one of the best or generally most competent YouTuber/influencer films in recent times. It's an achievement as both a film founded in social media roots and as a video game adaptation. It is not the most technically or thematically advanced film, but it does have a place as something that should be supported and celebrated as a film. My theater had some issues with audio mixing, but this and other faults like issues with pacing and the slow roll-up in acting quality from Mark are neither distracting complaints nor original thoughts. What I do believe is compelling is the transient nature of fandom, its evolution from the simple origins of the Iron Lung game, and what that means for the gaming and influencer bubble Iron Lung finds itself in. This is an independent IP randomly picked up and financially supported by an independent creator, and developed purely for the desire to transfer the experience of playing Iron Lung to not just fans of the game, but also a mainstream audience. Yes, the evolving technical aspirations from Mark play a part in this film's inception as well, but the intention of what the film accomplishes by the credits is to adapt that feeling Mark had when playing the game for the very first time. Iconic moments like the fire in the sub, the first auditory appearance of the underwater monsters, and the iconic sub bursting are all parts of the game adapted to reality to transfer the feeling of playing the game. This is all without mentioning the deeper themes attached to the lore and characters, or even Mark himself. This is a communication of a love for Iron Lung as a game, and the feelings that were brought about because of it. To me, this says that while yes, having a base of support for an independent film and having the social currency to get it funded and distributed are important, much more important than that is truly having a passion for the material that cannot be emulated through focus grouping, CEOs, and market predictions. That is what this movie manages to accomplish, and that is something all hopeful filmmakers, creatives, and people in general should be excited about.
I'm not saying it's the same, I just think it's cool because if you guys want to, you should definitely read SCP-354. It has in it Log of Exploratory Mission 354 Alpha. 354 Alpha is an exploration of the entity known as SCP-354 where they go into the Blood Lake. And what do they go in it in? The only thing you can, a submarine. It's not the same, obviously, but I think it's really cool. And if you want more of Iron Lung, again, not saying it may be inspired, it may not be inspired, I don't know. I'm saying this is also another cool experiment and a cool bit of story if you want something else.
For this week's game, I decided to play Captain Wayne Vacation Desperation. The contents of Captain Wayne Vacation Desperation are something that has the familiar musk of classic internet flash animations. And that tribute to the feel of roaming the internet in the early half of the 2010s is something that feels comforting, like vegging out on Saturday mornings watching TV with a can of soda in one hand and a handful of chips in the other. From the character designs that feel reminiscent of One Piece or Inspector Gadget, the Sonic Adventure 90s rock OST, and the flash animated cutscenes with compressed visuals and audio with shitposty humor to go alongside it, this is a team pulling from a number of interests to create an inspired project. The game itself has a wonderful game feel with quick boomer shooter action with movement and gunplay that streamlines the experience. Although I had some trouble handling the movement systems of the game that initially feel like running with soap bars for legs, you definitely gain a better handling of the game's movement as the game goes on and the maps get more expansive. Weapon and combat variety is also something very welcome, as it often demands your ability to switch weapons to meet your scenario, lest you lose a major chunk of health to specific enemies that will punish you for neglecting certain weapons. In this way, the game loop becomes extremely engaging as it forces a long string of micro-reactions in the vein of modern Wolfenstein and Doom games. The game can be best summed up in one of the game's biggest swings being the lack of a difficulty option. This is a hard game. According to Steam achievements, a little more than a third of players have made it past the 5th of 9 levels, and it will become increasingly obvious why as you continue to play the game. But without the meticulous design of its levels and hordes of enemies that will kill you more times than you can count, it would not be the same game. If you're willing to make the purchase and see for yourself, you will be met with a well-refined experience full of personality that makes for an absolutely entertaining time.
Prepare to meet your maker, Captain!
Nobody steals my shit and lives a scar-faced fuck. You're dead meat, Dinky.
And finally, for today's grab bag section, I wanted to give a little time to Project Prismation. With the current state of the entertainment industry as it relates to traditional 2D animation, YouTube remains the springboard for indie animation in modern times. While there are a number of studios and creators all trying to find a niche in the market, Project Prismation is playing a new and interesting role in this dynamic. Supported by the Japanese streaming service Abema, the project seems to be an initiative to support indie animation projects through the creation of pilots, streamlining both the production and visibility of creators' works. With 3 indie shorts as of this posting, the channel is gaining well-deserved popularity for the platforming of independent Asian artists' animation projects. It marks a new way for independent artists to be found in the ocean that is social media. These are professionally dubbed and aesthetically diverse projects, and while the nature of this initiative does make all the pilots feel more like pitches than things that stand in isolation, it still leaves flexibility for creators to make visually interesting and entertaining works. Pop and Play Kitchen is a I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream and Digital Circus inspired cooking show. Gluttony is a food-themed high school horror drama, and The Horror's Horror Home, a personal favorite, is a horror-themed family slice of life. All of these projects have a visually distinct style while pulling from the familiar cartoons before it. And while the plot seemed to be sustained on the pilot-esque ending hooks, what story is there before falling back on half-cooked endings makes for an entertaining group of watches. So, while I still think that indie animation, especially in the West, is not in great standing with the misaligned corporate priorities that seek to harm the industry, the light at the end of the tunnel that is the potential for large studios actually supporting new projects from new backgrounds is a sight that should be followed and supported. Once again, I hope you enjoyed this week's picks. Comment below what you guys watched this week, and I'll see you next time.